Hello, boys and girls. We're here again. It's lovely to see you, isn't it, Peter? Oh, of course you're going to say hello. It's most important. You're going to say hello.
Hello, boys and girls. Hello. So pleased to see you again. We're going to listen to a story about a frog.
And what's he called?
Mr. Jeremy Fisher. The Tale of Mr. Jeremy Fisher by Beatrix Potter.
Lovely, and you're being a very good boy. Right, we're going to sit. You're sitting quietly like Peter. I know he's been good, isn't he? Here we are, a lovely story for you about a frog. Once upon a time there was a frog called Mr. Jeremy Fisher. He lived in a little damp house amongst the buttercups at the edge of a pond. That sounds nice, amongst the buttercups. The water was all slippy-sloppy in the larder and in the back passage. But Mr. Jeremy liked getting his feet wet. Nobody ever scolded him, didn't get told off, not like you. And he never caught a cold. How lovely. I wish we could say the same. He was quite pleased when he looked out and saw large drops of rain splashing in the pond. We see lots of those, don't we? We do. Too many sometimes. I will get some worms and go fishing and catch a dish of minnows for my dinner, said Mr. Jeremy Fisher. If I catch more than 5 fish, I will invite my friends, Mr. Alderman, Ptolemy, Tortoise, and Sir Isaac Newton. The Alderman, however, eats salad. Oh, eats salad, perhaps he's a vegetarian. Mr. Jeremy put on a mackintosh and a pair of shiny galoshes. That's on his feet. He took his rod and basket and set off with enormous hops to the place where he kept his boat. Very happy. You enjoying it? Yes. The boat was round and green and very like the other lily leaves. It was tied to a water plant in the middle of a pond. Oh, lovely. Mr. Jeremy took a reed pole and pushed the boat out into the open water. I know a good place for minnows, said Mr. Jeremy Fisher. Mr. Jeremy stuck his pole into the mud and fastened the boat to it. Then he settled himself cross-legged and arranged his fishing tackle. He had the dearest little red float. His rod was a tough stalk of grass, his line was a fine long white horsehair, and he tied a little wriggling worm at the end. The rain trickled down his back, and for nearly an hour he stared at the float. Oh dear. This is getting tiresome. I think I should like some lunch, said Mr. Jeremy Fisher. I think I would too, wouldn't you, Peter? You would. You'd like a carrot. He punted back again amongst the water plants and took some lunch out of his basket. I will eat a butterfly sandwich and wait till the shower is over, said Mr. Jeremy Fisher. Butterfly sandwich? A great big water beetle came up underneath the lily leaf and tweaked the toe of one of his galoshes. Oh dear. Mr. Jeremy crossed his legs up short, out of reach, and went on eating his sandwich. Very sensible. Once or twice something moved about with a rustle and a splash amongst the rushes at the side of the pond. I trust this is not a rat, said Mr. Jeremy Fisher. I think I'd better get away from here. Oh, yes, you better get away quickly. Rats eat frogs. Mr. Jeremy shoved the boat out again a little way and dropped in the bait. There was a bite almost directly. The float gave a tremendous bobbit. Good. A minnow. I have him by the nose, cried Mr. Jeremy Fisher, jerking up his rod. Lovely. Oh, but what a horrible surprise. Instead of a smooth, fat minnow, Mr. Jeremy landed little Jack Sharp, the stickleback, covered with spines. Peter, you wouldn't like that, would you? No. The stickleback floundered about the boat, pricking and snapping until he was quite out of breath. Then he jumped back into the water. Poor Jeremy. And a shoal of other little fishes put their heads out and laughed at Mr. Jeremy Fisher. Ah, poor Mr. Jeremy Fisher. And while Mr. Jeremy sat disconsolately, that means he was very unhappy, on the edge of his boat, sucking his sore fingers and peering down into the water, a much worse thing happened. A really frightful thing it would have been if Mr. Jeremy had not been wearing a mackintosh. There you are, you must wear your mackintosh. A great big enormous trout came up, plop, with a splash and it seized Mr. Jeremy with a snap. Ow, ow, ow! And then it turned and dived down to the bottom of the pond. But the trout was so displeased with the taste of the Macintosh, and in less than half a minute, it spat him out again. And the only thing it swallowed was Mr. Jeremy's galoshes. Thank goodness for the galoshes. Oh, Mr. Jeremy bounced up to the surface of the water like a cork and the bubbles out of a soda water bottle, and he swam with all his might, I bet he did, to the edge of the pond. He scrambled out on the first bank he came to, and he hopped across the meadow with his Macintosh all in tatters. But it saved his life. It didn't matter, did it? No. What a mercy that was not a pike, said Mr. Jeremy Fisher. I have lost my rod and basket, but it does not much matter, for I'm sure I should never have dared to go fishing again. I think it's very wise if he doesn't go fishing again, don't you, Peter? Yes. He put some sticking plaster on his fingers, and his friends both came to dinner. Lovely. Falling down. He could not offer them fish. No, of course he couldn't. But he had something else in his larder. Sir Isaac Newton wore his black and gold waistcoat. Lovely. Look at that. Black and white waistcoat. You like your little jacket. You look lovely too. And what then happened? And Mr. Alderman Ptolemy, tortoise, brought a salad with him in a string bag. Well, that was good, wasn't it? And I'm glad it didn't fall out of the string bag. Very useful. And instead of a nice dish of minnows, they had a roasted grasshopper with ladybird sauce. What do you think of that? Which frogs consider a beautiful treat. But I think it must have been nasty. What do you think? Would you have liked that? No. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Who's here? Look, Peter, there. Look who's come. Am I the luckiest person in the world? Look who's hopped here to visit us. Say hello. Hello, Jeremy. It's Mr. Jeremy Fisher. Well, I have all these I think they come to see you, not me. Oh, Mr. Jeremy Fisher, we just heard about it all. But we're glad to see you here. No Macintosh, but you look lovely. You're so beautiful, beautiful colours. Well, that's the end of this. Did you listen? Did you hear us telling the story? Yes. Well, we're glad you're here in one piece, aren't we? Say hello. Right, so we're going to say goodbye now. So goodbye from my lovely visitor, and I'm sure he'll come and see you again. Goodbye from Mr. Jeremy Fisher. And very important, goodbye from me, but most important, goodbye from Peter, lovely Peter, who was such a good boy and listened to the story. And I think you are wonderful. I do. I love having you here. You're wonderful. Right. Goodbye. Bye-bye. See you again. Please come and see us again because we love telling you stories. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.